Good morning, a very good morning to all my friends, and hope you all enjoyed my previous videos. And today's theme is self sympathies. Well, everybody under the sun goes through this factor. They sympathize for themselves. And what the first question they ask themselves is, why me? Why me? I've been so good to people. Why should I go through this? Why God is doing this to me? Why God has turned a deaf ear towards me? That's self-sympathies. But my dear friends, God didn't turn a deaf ear towards anybody. He doesn't do that. It's we who don't do justice to our conscience, and we start turning a deaf ear towards our conscience by not facing reality. That's when self-sympathies set in. What is self-sympathies? Self-sympathies, self-sympathy is it sets in due to selfishness. One becomes selfish, then this self-sympathies set in. Okay, it's only one's doing, not anybody else is doing or God's doing. Well, the factors of the following factors, the consequences of self-sympathies is you feel sorry for yourself, you feel oppressed, you think that life has come to an end. Yeah, those are the sympathies. Those are the factors. That's what you call self-sympathies. Well, I'll give you an anecdote of my life. I loved a person, all right? I loved a person, and in order not to compromise that person, I am mentioning the name of the person. Well, I loved that person a lot, and a lot of things took place, and finally that person ended up having self-sympathies. Why self-sympathies? Because that person didn't want to do justice to her conscience. Okay? She started feeling sorry for herself and started stating so many times, stated the statement that why me? Why are you doing this to me? Why did I have a relationship with you? You're trying to bury me alive. Don't you feel sorry for me? Leave me, I'm suffering. Those are self-sympathies. Why? Because that person didn't know how to face a reality. That person didn't have the guts to face the consequences. That person became selfish due to her own ulterior motives, and then conveniently palmed the blame on me that I'm being harsh, I'm being absurd, I'm being irrational or unreasonable to her. No, it was not me, it was that person. So many a times, my dear friend, you all must have come across plenty people who always sympathize for themselves. They try to gain somebody's sympathy. They try to justify their acts in a very sorrowful manner and start complaining, cribbing, qualming that why me? Why God is doing this to me? Why people are doing this to me? It is not God. It is not people who are doing this to you. It is yourself who's doing this to you by not facing reality, by not doing justice, by not being sensitive to your conscience. I'll tell you something, my dear friend. Everybody has got a conscience. Even the worst of a criminal, right? A cold-blooded criminal, right? Even he's got a conscience, okay? Everybody, every human being under the sun has got a conscience. That's secondary, that we don't live up to our conscience. We are not sensitive to our conscience. Because the conscience says what you're doing is wrong. Even the most significant act, act under the sun, the conscience does speak. And the conscience speaks the truth. The conscious only speaks the truth. What we do is we ignore our conscience to our convenience, to our whims and fancies, to the situation, and then we end up feeling sorry for ourselves when the consequences are there. We feel sorry for ourselves, and that's when self-sympathizing sets in. We think that everybody is at fault other than us. But it's contrary. We are at fault, not the others. So my dear friend, stop feeling sorry for yourselves and stop being engulfed in a state of sympathy, self-sympathies. Don't engulf yourself in it. Just come out of it. And one more thing, my dear friend, when a person has got self-sympathy, right, that person not only makes life miserable for himself or herself, but that person ends up making life miserable, making propositions difficult for the other person, for people who are around, and that person is not entitled to do so. So please stop sympathizing for yourself and start facing reality. Start doing justice to your conscience. Start being sensitive to your conscience and listen to your conscience. Don't turn a deaf ear towards your conscience. That way you don't end up feeling sorry for yourself. You don't sympathize for yourself, which is not on. You can sympathize throughout your entire life. You're not going to go nowhere. Things are going to become miserable for you and the people who are involved in your life. So stop it, and try to face reality in life and do justice to God, who's just. God will never do injustice. So don't blame God that why God is doing this to me, why this gentleman is doing to me, why that girl is doing to me. Nobody is doing this to you. You are doing it to yourself, just because of the self-sympathies. So my dear friend, I request you all to kindly stop sympathizing for yourself and start facing reality and start living a blissful life. And please do a favor to the other person. Let him also lead a blissful life instead of leading a miserable life just because of your self-sympathies. So please, my dear friend, take this advice for what it's worth. And I'm sorry if I've offended or upsetted anybody. My intentions were not to do so. Take care. Have a pleasant day. Ciao.